I'm Amy Zaby with the Jerusalem Connection Red Alert Report for Wednesday, February 27th. Three BDS events are canceled. Bravo to Germany for canceling 3 anti-Israel pro-BDS events in the last few weeks. BDS is boycott, divest, and sanction, and it is a political and economic activist movement in order to drown Israel off the map by means of economic and bad PR pressures. Germany is determined, thankfully, to disengage activities wherever it can within its borders that are clearly anti-Semitic and ring of the 1920 and 1930 atmosphere of pre-World War II. I want to give Germany these kudos because in France, anti-Semitism and activities of terror are on the uptick, and few media outlets are reporting it. Jewish-owned businesses in France are often vandalized the exact same way the German businesses were in the 1930s, and it is eerie and scary. What was canceled in Germany was a January event in Bonn where the Jewish Voice for Peace activist was slated to speak. A guy named Shir Havar was slated to speak on, quote, Israel's right-wing friends in Europe and the U.S. This was scheduled to take place in the city of Bonn in January. The next canceled event was supposed to take place in the German state of Saarland and was to be held by a local pro-democracy foundation. The organization decided to disinvite pro-BDS activist Abraham Melzer, who had been slated to speak at this February event. Last year, Melzer lost a lawsuit against a German Jewish leader who had labeled him as notorious for anti-Semitic remarks. The court upheld that Melzer's behavior, quote, can and may without question be judged as anti-Semitic. Thus, the a libel or slander suit was dismissed because his actions actually were in line with the Jewish leader's accusation. The third canceled event was to take place in December when Reverend Thomas Scala of the Protestant Church in the city of Karlsruhe canceled an event that had a pro-BDS journalist named Andreas Zumak to be speaking. Shula told the Post, the Jerusalem Post that is, that the church canceled the events because, quote, I want to avert damage to the relationship between the Protestant church and the Jewish community in Karlsruhe. Karlsruhe is located in the German state of Baden-Württemberg. I've been to Karlsruhe. It's a beautiful town. I've even been to church there. So I'm so proud of the Protestant community for standing up against BDS in its borders. Dr. Ephraim Zuloff, director of the Simon Wiesenthal Center in Jerusalem, told the Jerusalem Post, that Zumrock, the journalist that was canceled for the event in Karlsruhe, has engaged in clearly anti-Semitic activity with support for BDS. Zumak is a member of the advisory board for the pro-BDS organization called the Alliance to End the Israeli Occupation. Again, I am so proud of Karlsruhe for standing up against anti-Semitism within its church walls. You know, in America and around the world, we have many celebrities, newly elected U.S. politicians, and college professors professing that participation in BDS is not anti-Semitic, but simply a healthy debate and critique of Israel's state policy. Well, they are either lying or more ignorant than the mainstream media cares to point out, which is really their job to point out. In a February 3rd report released by the Jerusalem Post, the Strategic Affairs Ministry has found that, and I've reported on this before, these ideas before, that more than 100 links between internationally designated terrorist organizations, including Hamas and the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, with NGOs promoting anti-Israel BDS, boycott, divest, and sanction movement activities, some of which were receiving funds from European states and philanthropic funds, are directly linked to the terrorist organizations. More than 30 members of Hamas and the Palestinian Front hold senior positions in BDS promoting NGOs, the vast majority of them having been convicted and imprisoned for terrorist-related crimes, including active relationships with known terrorist groups. It is vital for the mainstream media and the Democrat Party to hold its elected members and its supporters to the fires of truth and to ostracize and disengage with anyone who is in the BDS effort. It's interesting that the older generation of the Democrat Party seems to be on this page, but they give their new blood an open pass as they lull a new generation into its ranks of rhetoric for class warfare, identity politics, and to haze the masses in order to collect votes. It is our job to be mindful, search for the truth, and disseminate that truth. Shavua Tov. Have a great week.